Now it's time for Cleared to Play. We're going to take you inside the tent, get you updated on the latest injuries in the Bay. Proud to partner with UCSF Health on this segment and bring in Dr. Brian Feeley. Hey, Doc, happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays to you guys.
Yeah, great to have you. I tell you what, why don't we start with the 49ers, and if we could also get into the defensive line situation. Eric Armstead been dealing with this now for a few weeks. Javon Hargrave as well. What is the outlook on getting them back potentially 6 days from now to go against Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, so I think with Hargrave, he has a hamstring strain. It really depends on the severity and how he feels. And these are really day-to-day injuries. I think for hamstring injuries, we look at average return to play at about 2 weeks. So he'll be borderline, and I think it's that day-to-day difference and having that extra day on a Monday night game, even almost 2 days when you think about it, might make it a little bit more likely that he can come back. Armstead, it's a little bit tougher. He was dealing, if you remember, from the knee injury first and then a foot injury. It's hard to tell exactly what's going on, which one's bothering him more. When you've got two injuries going on, I think they're going to be a little bit more conservative. And obviously, again, such a good running team such as Baltimore, that's concerning, but we also have a game up and all the tiebreakers, so it's not the end of the world.
He can play it a little bit slower if need be. Diamador Lenore suffered a rib injury. It's being called a rib contusion. When we talk rib contusions, are we really dealing with the cartilage in and around the rib or the rib itself?
So it can be both, and so it can be the muscles in between the ribs. And it doesn't really matter. They're all equally really painful. And part of the reason is especially when you're exercising, you obviously rely on your rib cage to take a deep breath. So imagine every time you take a deep breath or you get hit in the ribs, you get an instant shock of intense pain. And that can happen with a contusion, muscle strain, or rib fracture. So the management of these is really, can they get the contusion or the sprain under control so he can feel better? You can certainly manage this on game day with putting those flak jackets on, but it's harder for corners and safeties to move quite as much. And you can manage it in game with injections to just numb the area. But as we remember from a few years ago with the Chargers, that can be a little bit dangerous. So you want to know who's doing your injections for you.
Dr. Brian Feeley with us, Cleared to Play, Willard Dibs, 95.7 The Game. Hey, let's check in on GP2, who I know is getting close to another reevaluation with the calf strain. What's the outlook there?
So I think especially in jumping athletes, when we look at medial gastroc strains, we look at them very differently in basketball players than in football players. So when you think about Joe Burrow, missed about 3 weeks with his calf strain. With a jumping athlete, you're probably going to miss 4 to 6 weeks easy because you cannot push off. And if you try to push off too early with a calf strain, you're just going to re-injure it, and you're going to be back at square one. So they're going to be appropriately very conservative, and then they'll move him through a few weeks of more progression. So can he walk and run okay? Great. Can he jump in place? Great. Can he start pushing off and move laterally and then go into game? So my guess is he's at least a few weeks away, and that's entirely appropriate for these injuries.
Jung-Hoo Lee is the new Giant, and he had ankle surgery in the offseason, but he came out and said, basically, my ankle's fine, don't worry about it. Based on the severity of his ankle injury, should we anticipate any sort of a slow playing of him returning come March?
Well, the honest answer is we don't know, because if you haven't seen the x-rays, haven't seen how he's running, we don't know for sure. And you can think of two recent examples in the Bay Area where it goes in very different directions. One, Buster Posey did great after his ankle fracture, and it looked severe when it happened. He had major surgery, and he recovered great. The other risk is that it's more of a Carlos Correa situation where you're worried about his longevity. Now, obviously, the Giants' medical staff is fantastic. They were appropriately cautious with Correa and assuming that Lee checked out with all his medical stuff. The vast majority of baseball players that have ankle fractures return with no consequences. So the expectation will be he can play center field great. He won't lose any speed. He'll be able to hit just as well, if not better, and he should be a great signing for them.
Okay. Hey, Doc, again, happy holidays. We love having you on. Thank you so much.
All right. Happy holidays, guys. Stay away from the teacups.
Oh, boy, you're not kidding.
Yeah. Is there any fix for that, or do you just have to sit down for a while?
You just have to not go on them over the age of 30, guys.
Yeah, there it is.
Why do I get dizzier with my eyes closed than with my eyes open, Doc?
I wish I had the answer for that, but again, just stay off the teacups. Don't let them lead you on with your eyes closed. Man.
I love stumping the Doc. That's so good. Thanks, Doc.
Thanks, Doc. There it is.
I thought there might have been a medical reason.
Dr. Brian Feeley.
Sorry, Doc.
The proceeding was sponsored by UCSF Health.